Alright, so in this video we will be talking about the Windows Services Binary Hijacking, right? So we will first of all discuss the theory and then we will move to the practical stuff. And before starting the video, if you have not watched the previous videos, you should check it out. I will mention the link in description. In one of the previous video we have done that how we can hijack the application DLL. Actually there are two type of DLL hijacking. One is for the application DLL hijacking and another is for services DLL hijacking. So we have done the application one, and so in the coming video I will also talk about the services DLL hijacking, right? So let's get started. Now what actually we are doing here, so our goal is, we have got the reverse shell from a compromised device, and as you know that we have low privileges and we are trying to do different methods to get high level privileges. Our main focus should be today on the Windows Services Binary Hijacking. So first of all, let's understand what actually is Windows Services. Think about the Windows Services like a robot or worker that works in the background while your device is running. You actually don't see the services running on the main desktop, but rather they are running in the background. We cannot actually see them. Like for example, you go to Google and download something, and as the file downloaded, the window defender will just let us know that either this file contains virus or this thing that we downloaded specifically is a virus itself. So you see in this case that the Windows service is just automatically telling us that this specific file is a virus, right? So this means that Windows software is running in the background, but we cannot actually see it. Same is the case for Windows. It actually checks for the update automatically. And there are a couple of more Windows services as well that we will talk and see in a moment. And let me also give a quick overview about the different accounts in Windows. So there are three different types of account. The number one we have is local system. This is also called anti-authority/system. So this is the most powerful account on Windows. You can actually do anything on the device you want. This local system account actually has a complete control over all of the files, registry and system settings. And then we have the second type, which is network services. So in this account you have like medium level privileges. You can only access network resources, and it's like more limited than the local system. And the third one we have is the local service. So this one is like a very low privilege guy. This one has like access to very specific resources. Not you cannot actually do a lot of stuff if you have this type of account. So why actually we are discussing the different types of built-in account for the Windows. So the thing here is that the Windows service is run with a specific user account that have special privileges, and these are different accounts, right? So if a specific service run with this account, it will have like high level privileges, and if it runs with this account, it will have like medium level privileges, and if it runs with this account, it will have like very low privileges, right? So the main point over here is that if we somehow find a service that runs as a local system, so what we can do actually is that instead of the service running its own .exe file, we can replace it with our own. So when that service run our own exe, it will run that as a local system, meaning that we will have a high level privileges, right? So this is the core point, right? So let me actually show you what services actually are running and what services are stopped and what are disabled. So to open the graphical interface of all of the services, you can either press the Windows plus R key and then type services.msc, or just type over here services and then just click on this one right here. So this huge list you see, this is all of the services, right? Actually we have here 5 columns. One is name and a description, another is status, the startup type and log on as. So in the name column we have actually a short name for a specific service, right? So for this service the short name is this, and for this service is this, right? And then we have the second column, we have description. So in description we can find out what this specific service does, right? So right here you can see the description for all of these services. We can just find out what the specific service does. And in the next column we have the status. So from status column we can find out whether any of these services is running or stopped or disabled. right? So in this specific column we can find out if a specific service is set to automatic, manual, or disabled. So if it sets to automatic, it will just auto start the services after we open our device, and if it sets to manual, you will have to manually start the services, right? Like if I click on this specific service, you can see I can just start this services from here or either here, right? And also you can see some of the services are disabled, so these services will not actually run until you set them to enable. So in the log on as column, we can see that this specific service is running with what account or with what privileges. So right here, as you can see, this specific service is running with local system. This means that this specific service run with a very high level privileges, right? Like system level privileges. You can also see the network services account that we just talked about. So if we run this service, this will have access to network related resources, right? And if we double click on any of the services, we can see a lot more information, like this is the service name, right? And this is the display name or friendly name that we can see over here. And then we can also see the description that we see over here, and the new information that we can see right here is path to executable, right? So this is the thing we want to hijack. Like for example, we will check out if we have the permission to delete this specific exe or like modify this .exe. We'll see if we have these privileges, like for modification or like full privileges, we can just remove this one and put our own. So when this service runs, it will run with local system, and when it run with local system, mean we will have high level privileges, and it will run our exe. It means that we can just put anything in the malicious.exe. Now the problem here is that we cannot actually use the graphic interface of the services. We will have only access to the command prompt or PowerShell, right? So we will try to find out the same information that we just talked about using the command prompt, right? So let me just open the command prompt and assume this is the user we are logged into is a low privilege guy. Now what we are going to do is, first of all, type PowerShell, so we can just run our commands in PowerShell. So this is the command we will use. Let me just explain what this will do. So this just mean, if I translate this, it will just mean that get me information from Windows management, right? And then right here we are specifying what type of information we want. So we are actually specifying that get us information specifically for the services, right? And then we are using the pipe symbol. What this will do is just whatever result we get from this, it will just transfer the result from here, right? So what actually we are doing here is that we are filtering the result and want to only see the name of the service, the state, and also the path. So let's just press enter and see what's going to happen. So we got the result, and actually we are seeing the services that are running and as well as stopped. So let's just filter out and only see the running ones. So to filter out, we will then use this command. This is the same command right here, and then we have added another pipe, and then we are just telling that where object just mean that filter out, and this right here just mean that filter out the result. And then we are looking the state column, and then we are specifying that the state must look like the running. So it will just only list the services that are running right now. So let's just see this one as well. Alright, as you can see, we have got the result, and we can see the full path of the executables, right? And also we can see the services name. So our focus should not be on the executable that are in the system32, right? Because paths like these need admin permission, and we are assuming that actually we don't have the admin level permission, so we will never waste our time on paths like these, right? I am going to show you the paths that we will be looking for the executable in a moment, right? But before that, let me just tell you about the Windows permission, and we will check about the permission that each file has, right? So as we previously discussed, that Windows has different type of user group. One is administrator. Basically they can do anything on the device they want. And then we have the user group. These are like regular user. They have actually like very limited permission. They cannot do high level stuff, and this is where our current user belongs to, that we are logged into. And then we have the anti-authority / system. This is the group that the local system account belongs to. They are more powerful, that they are actually more powerful than these one, right? And then this anti-authority / authenticated user, they have slightly more permission than this group. So to find out if we have the permission for a file and see if we can modify it or execute it, or we can just only read it, we will use this specific command. So the icacl just mean that integrity control access control list, and this is the Windows built-in function. And what's good about this command is that when we use it like this, you can see we type this and then the full path of the executable. It will just tell us whether we have the full access or just we can modify the file or we can just read that. It will just tell us all of this stuff, right? So our focus should only be on those executable that has either the modification permission or full permission, right? If we have the modification permission, we can just replace the file with our new one, and if we have the full permission, we already have this modification permit, and we will first be looking for the modification permission. If we have this permission, we will just simply replace the .exe with our own, and let's assume that some of the file has the only read permission. We actually cannot exploit this because we can only read it, we cannot actually modify or do anything with it. And same is the case for this just x. If we have the executable permission, what actually are we going to do with it? We need to replace the original .exe with our own, so we don't actually have the modification permission in this, so we will also ignore this one. Our main focus should be these two, right? Alright, so the path that we will be looking for the executable in, first of all we will check the temp folder, and then we will actually look for all of these paths. You can see right here on the screen, these are the paths that we will be trying to look for the executable that the services wants to run with local system. Our main focus should be to find a service that run executable in any of these locations, right? So right here, these are all of the services that are currently running, and as I show you the paths, different paths that we will be looking for the executable. So for example, if we want to check the permission for this specific service, so we already know that it's in the system there too, and we cannot actually do anything with this one. Just for the example, we will copy this service name, and then actually we will copy the full path, not the service name, right? Let me just copy the service, and then I'm going to use the icacl command and code. Let's see if we have the what permission we have for this executable. So we have got the result, and as you can see, this specific group has full access that we are not into, and the administrator group can just read and execute this .exe, right? They cannot actually modify, even the admin. Same is the case for this, and we are actually into this group. We have actually the permission for reading and execution this specific .exe. So this is not something we want. We will try to find another one. Let's check this one. Let me copy the path, and let me copy the full path, and then let's use the icacl command again. Okay, we are seeing a bit different result from this one. Let me just make this command prompt a little bit so we can see it more clearly. Okay, again we are into this user, and we don't have the modifier or full permission, so we will also ignore this one. Though the admin and different account has the modification and full permission, but the user we are logged into belongs to this part, and we have the R and X permission, so it's not something we want. We will try to find another one. Now we will just try to find all of these either manually, or we can just do some automation using some PowerShell script. It will just find out itself for us that what specific executable or service, or a service that look for executable, it will just look for us that what specific service is looking for executable from some unusual places, right? That does not need admin level permission. So you can just either go with this manual stuff, or we can go with the automation stuff that I'm just going to show you in a moment. But before that, if you want to analyze a specific service in a bit more detail, we can use the following command, and it will just show more detail about a specific service. So for that, I'm going to use the sc, which just means the service command, which just means service control command, and then I'm going to type qc, it means query configuration, and after that we will enter the name of the specific service that we want to see details of. So in this case, let's see detail for this WinRM. Okay, I think we need to run this command in command prompt, not in PowerShell. Yeah, yeah. So this command works only in command prompt, not in PowerShell. So right here, as you can see a bit more detail about this specific service. So right here we can see the service name, and then we can see the start type of this specific service. It's set to auto start, so it just means that this service will start after this device logs in. And we can also see the executable, and right here we can also see the service start name. It just tells us that from what specific user or group this service runs. So in this case, it's run from the network service. As I told you earlier that this specific service will have access to only network related resources. Remember we discussed the three types. So it's one of them. So now what we are going to do actually is I have asked this Claude to make me the script to just get me the result automatically. So Claude just made me the script, and what it will do is it will just find out the executable in these specific paths, right? That the services needs to run. Once it finds out the .exe file, it will then check out if the current user that we are logged into, it will just find out our user SSID, and then it will compare if the user we are currently logged into has modification or full permission for the executable file that were found in these. If for example there is .exe file and we have the modification or full permission for that, this script will just let us know the service name and the full path. What we will do next is we will make a malicious.exe. We will either delete one that this script find for us, or just rename it, right? And after that we will put our own exe in the same place, right? So for some reason I cannot copy this script into that much virtual machine. Alright, so what I have done is I have made a .txt file from here like this one, and then I have pasted the script into this file and then save as the script.ps1. .ps1 is actually the extension of PowerShell script. So this is the script now, and what we are going to do next is let's just move to the desktop. So for that let me type, okay, we are on the desktop now. So now let's just run the script. Okay, so as you saw, I was trying to run the PowerShell script in the command prompt, but it was not running. So what I did is type the PowerShell over here, and then it opened the PowerShell for me. And then what I did is type this that will just run the script for me, and it just checking the different paths. Right here, as you can see, it does a lot of stuff. Okay, so what actually happened is that I have run this script and it automatically find out the executable location, and it also get our SID, and then it compares that each of the executable that it find in the unusual place, it compares it with our SID and checks out that whether we can make changes or not. So after doing all this, it just finally found this specific executable, and now what we'll be doing is to make a malicious.exe file and replace it with this one, right? So we will now go to our attacker machine and we will try to make the malicious.exe. Alright, so we are on our attacker machine, and what we will be doing now is we will try to make a malicious.exe, and then we will replace that malicious.exe with the original one. And once we replace it, we will then see if we can start that specific service from the cmd or not. If we can, we will just immediately stop and start the service, and if we cannot, we will see what else we can do, right? So first of all, let me open the terminal and let me make it big. And actually we will use this command, this msfvenom. We can use this to create malicious.exe file, right? So what we are putting in this .exe is that once it runs, it will just create a reverse shell to the IP that we just specify over here. So we will be just putting the IP of this machine. So the machine IP we have is 10.49.117.01. Okay, and now we'll just leave it with this port. So this is actually Metasploit payload generator. It will make us the .exe file, and with the P we are specifying the payload type, and in this case it's the reverse shell, and this is our this device IP, and this is port. We'll start listening on this port, and we will get the reverse shell with this port. And with the -f we are specifying that format that specific exe as a Windows Service Executable, right? This is very important, and with the -o this is just the output name of the exe that we will be making. So let me just press enter and see what's going to happen. Oh no, bro. So while editing the video, I just found out that I did a mistake over here in the local host. Actually, in the local port, there is no like the equal sign. So I made the exe without that sign, and it caused so much problem later in this video. You will see. I just realized that there were not any equal sign, and because of that I had to struggle a lot with this video. But thankfully now I found out what actually was wrong. I mean, let's just go and listen whatever I was saying in the video. So I'm not going to cut that out. You listen to that. I was just pointing the issue out to you. Okay, as you can see, the exe is being made right here, as you can see. Now we try to start a web server, but it's already started, so we are done from here. Now we will move back to the window machine, and we'll try to download this exe file. Now first of all, let's just change directory to desktop, and then after that we will download that .exe file. So to download that file, we will just go into PowerShell and type this command. This is basically just downloading that specific .exe from that attack box to here. Oh hell no. So while editing the video, I found out that I get this error because I have actually not started the web server, the HTTP web server. So this is why it's trying to download the file from somewhere that is not from a web server that is not even started. So this is why we are getting this error. And another mistake I am doing here is that I am trying to use the port 8000, right? And we will go to the attack box in a minute. I will show you. Actually, I tried to start the web server using the port 80. So what happened is that when I tried to start the web server using the port 80, I did not understand the response. Instead, I just assumed that the web server is started, but actually the port 80 was used by something else. So what I did is that I went to AI and tell the issue, and the AI just told me that the port 80 is being used, so you have to use another port. So then I used the port 8000. Okay, so the problem was that I was trying to use the port 80 for the web server, but for some reason that port 80 was using something else. Now we are using the port 8000, and as you can see, the web server is now started. Now we can just go back to the window machine and download that file from this machine. Okay, now you see we have used this different port, and right here the exe is downloaded. So from the above we already know the original exe location. We will just move over there. Now we can just move to that specific location. Well, let me just change this to colon. So we will now go to that specific directory that we found the exe in. Okay, so now we are in that specific directory, and right here this is the one that we will be replacing. So we just rename this one to this thing right here. Let's actually confirm it. So you can see we have renamed that specific executable. Now we will just move this specific exe into this directory. So for that I'm just going to use this command, and let's actually confirm if it's moved or no. Yep, it's being moved from here to here, and we have renamed it to this, as you can see in the command that I have entered. So I type move this specific file to our current directory and rename this file into this. And before stopping and then running that specific service that is using this specific exe, we'll first go to our attacker machine and start listening so that we can get the reverse shell. So let me open another terminal from here. We will type nc-lvp, that same port we specify in the payload. So nc is actually the Netcat. It's a network connection tool, and the -l is for the listen mode, like it will wait for incoming connection, and for the -v it will just show some detail to us, right? And with the p we are specifying the port. So let's press enter. We have started listening on this port. Now let's just go back to the Windows machine. Now we need to stop this service and restart the service that this exe is being used by. So let's assume we have some scenarios here. In scenario 1 we have like stop, we can just simply stop and start the service from the command prompt. And if for some reason it did not work, it will just tell us that you don't have permission, right? And for example, if we have the permission, we will just stop and start the service. And let's say if we don't have the permission for start and stop, what we will do then is, and in the next scenario we can just we can reboot the device, and if it will just start automatically. And once it reboot the machine, the service will start automatically. But first of all, we need to check if we can reboot the device or not. So for that we will just simply type the who am I /prev. So actually we cannot see any permission for rebooting the device. Let me actually show you how it looked like. So when we type this from our current user, we will see some permission, and if we somehow see this specific permission, it means that we have the shutdown permission, right? And this disable just mean that we have the permission right now, but we are not using it. And if for some reason you cannot see this one, it will just mean that you don't have the shutdown permission, right? So if we have this permission, we can just simply type a command like this, and it will just reboot the system. So in this case we actually don't see that same permission, so it means that we don't have the we actually don't have the restart permission. So if we don't have the reboot permission and also the stop start permission, what we have to do after that is to just wait for the user to restart the machine, right? Now let's just type this specific command. It will just stop that services, and we already know the specific service name, which is Windows scheduler. Okay, I have pressed enter on this command. It means that we have the permission for starting the services, especially this one, right? Let's assume that if for some reason we will not allowed to start the service, then this command will have not work, right? We will have instead get some error. So in this case we have the permission. Now we need to just sc start and the service name. Okay, the service is now start, and we can just move to our attacker machine, and hopefully we get the reverse shell. Okay, it did not work. Well, I think something went wrong, so I need to check what happened, and while doing this I will be silent and will not speak actually. Okay, so actually this is the service name and we just need to stop this and just restart it again because we have tried it and did not get any reversal. Now the service is stopped, we need to restart it. So to restart it we just need to write start instead of stop. Alright, so after spending hours on getting the reverse shell, I have finally got the reverse shell from that compromised device. Let me just type who am I and we can just confirm who am I. See, we have got access to this user and we are logged in into this user. Actually, this is the same user that the service we replace the exe of is run by. So as you saw throughout the video how we found out the the services, and then check out the binary path, and then also check if we can like modify or rewrite it. And once we found one, we then made a malicious.exe and put it in the directory. And then we check if we have the permission for the service to stop and restart, or and then also we check if we have the permission for reboot or shutdown. If for example we got none of these two permission, we will then have to wait for the user to reboot the device itself, right? And now we have got the reverse shell. So this is how binary hijacking works, right? So hope you like this video, and I will see you in the next video.